Neighbor Ketchup man, and welcome to the Ketchup Court Recap Show, where we are going to be previewing what is coming up in the Brendan Banfield trial. Look, we are currently on day 10, right? But day 9 has been absolutely insane for so many reasons that I'm going to get onto on this stream, on this show, because listen, everything that happened, right? Everything that happened on day 9 has given us a lot of important clues to what to expect for the closing arguments. I'm going to be breaking down Brendan Banfield's testimony in full and focus only on this because, Jesus Christ, there is just so much that this guy probably deserves his own character study, if I'm being honest. And after that, I'm going to be, I just had to check my mic there, see it's working. Anyway, I'm going to, after that, I'm going to also give my thoughts on what the closing arguments are going to be like. Who am I and what do we do on this channel? I go by the name of Heinz. I said before, I create full trial recaps of the cases that I cover on this channel. Do weekly and daily streams of recaps of cases on certain cases like this, and I basically treat trials as a live case study, so to speak. I just saw that the trial just starts, so I would just literally like to the trial as just saw it right now. So they might be doing some jury instructions and all of that, but let me quickly just go into the clip that I always do with these live recaps that best characterizes what day 9 was like.
Either way, I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to.
Did you order the code red?
I did the job. Did you order the code red? You're goddamn right I did!
That clip was from A Few Good Men, and that is a movie about literally corruption in many ways, but I'm going to expand more on why I chose that clip later on. So let me go straight into the whole into Brendan Banfield's testimony, because there were 4 witnesses that was introduced. Of course, Brendan Banfield, he's going to be the focus of this, and then Nick Barrero, he was introduced. I'm not certain about his role, to be honest. I know he analyzed some audio of the 911 call, and then there was a rebuttal from that by Stephen Augustine when the state went on to present their rebuttal evidence, and then we had Thomas Smith to end, which I'm gonna be using him as well after we are done with Brendan Banfield. So let's go into the testimony from Brendan Banfield that I felt sealed its entire fate with this whole trial, because I don't see any way you can come back from this. So what is happening right here? The clip I'm going to be playing is going to be the part of the trial, I should say, not clip, trial, that I'm going to be playing right now is the part where Brendan was basically testifying to a sort of sexual assault rape scenario that he said was going on when he had gotten to the house to see Christine. He had already testified leading up to this moment about seeing a strange car outside when he was doing his normal duties. He went to McDonald's and all those things. He explained that away, I think, on day 8 or something like that. And now we are here. So let's go ahead and watch this clip.
While I was looking on the main floor of the house, I heard sounds from upstairs.
Okay. And what, if anything, did you do at that point?
I moved closer to the upstairs. I moved closer to the upstairs stairs, to the stairs heading upstairs, but still on the main floor of the house.
Okay. And was that a better position to hear or know what's going on?
That's where the sound seemed to be coming from. There's regular ceiling over the kitchen and living room area, but in the foyer area that leads to upstairs, which is where I heard the sounds coming from.
Okay. And what, if anything, did you hear?
I heard the sounds of, I would say, moaning, as well as sound of skin-on-skin contact.
And what did you think was going on at
Do you
that
guys
point?
believe him?
Sex.
Do you guys believe him? Do you guys believe him?
Why didn't you call 911 at that point?
Well, I believe that it was an affair that was going on at that point. That doesn't seem like an emergency for the police to be involved in, was my thought at that moment.
Okay. Now, what were you thinking at that point when you decided what that was?
I guess I was emotional at that point. While Christine and I had affairs, we had never seen each other with anyone. No one was ever caught in the act or anything like that. Hearing what I thought was sex was upsetting.
So what were you thinking to do? What was your thought process at that point?
I thought about just getting the lunches and giving them to Valerie and Juliana and having them leave. I thought about just ignoring the situation and going to work and dealing with this after work, hopefully when no one else is there. I thought about how Christine had just taken off the day before because she was originally supposed to be working on the 24th. And I thought about, well, this seems to be why. I thought about, well, maybe this is why she took off on the 24th.
Okay.
Okay, so we got enough information there, right? Christine took off work, right? So he thought he was cheating. So which okay, in this context, it kind of makes, okay, fine. You might think it's cheating, so therefore, yeah. So you're not gonna call the police. So alibi, well, not alibi, but justification given for the lack of calling the police. Now, this next part right here is where I think it just it's just what really sunk him. But let me finish off with the testimony about when he went into the room. I just literally remembered it's not over. Let's go.
Because I didn't know that she took off on the 24th until the night of the 23rd.
So what made you stop from your initial thought of leaving and getting the lunches and letting Juliana and Valerie go to the zoo?
I guess as my mind was kind of racing in this moment, the sound, I guess, sounded like it changed to me. Instead of what I thought was the sounds of sex, I thought that the impact sounds sounded forceful, and that Christine's moaning sounded painful and not pleasurable, and that the distance between the sound of the skin-on-skin contact sounded too far apart for sex, and I thought that maybe she was being hurt.
So what did you do?
I started to go up the stairs.
Okay. Did you draw your weapon at any point?
While I was walking up the stairs, I did unholster my weapon, and I angled my body going up the stairs so that I was facing the bedroom door, which once you go up several of the stairs, you can then I can see because I'm taller, but
So we got that whole context now. We've got him going up the stairs. He now testified to the scenario that he wants to give up, which is the scenario of sexual assault, saying that he felt like she was getting raped, etc. Goes upstairs. Now we get to the positions where everyone was in and what he and then we're gonna get into the unique view that he had when he got into the room. But first, this is everyone's positions, right? Juliana, him, Valerie, the daughter, and where they were.
gonna come up this partially at the basement door.
Okay, and so you were both on the same level at that point?
No, I was on the stairs, heading up the stairs, and I kind of only did a quick glance, seeing that Juliana was there, and then I continued up the stairs.
And did you give her any instructions as to whether to go back to the basement?
I didn't say anything to her.
Okay, so you continued on?
Yes,
But you realized she was there?
I did.
What, if anything, did you do next?
I continued up the stairs and made a left towards the master bedroom.
Okay, and in terms of the landing where the master bedroom is located, describe for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what way you had to go from the top of the stairs.
I went to the left, as that's the way towards the master bedroom. There's double doors to the master bedroom. To the right would be a bathroom, the guest room, Valerie's bedroom, and Juliana's bedroom.
All of this is important because of what he testifies to later on cross-examination, which we are going to get to, but we need to establish this first.
So you went left at this point?
Yes.
And what, if anything, did you do at that point outside the room?
Outside the room, I headed towards the door, and I pushed the right of the double doors open with my foot.
And did you otherwise have something in your hands?
Yes, I had my firearm in my hands.
Okay. And when you pushed with your foot, which foot was it?
My right foot.
Okay. And were you able to see or hear any more when you did that?
Pushing the door open with my right foot revealed Christine, and who I now know is Joseph Ryan. They were on the floor near the bottom left of my bed, kind of in front of the master bathroom door, just past the bed, in between the bed and the tall dresser.
Okay. So you just described it as the bottom left. Describe for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, how do you come to bottom left? What position are you in order to describe it that way?
All right, so this is where he goes to describe his orientation to basically see where Christine was in the room. But the most important part I want to note is he said that he had left Juliana in the basement. And when he was walking through, he saw Juliana at the hallway. That's the most important part, because the next part of the testimony is very key, because this is where he now gets to explain what he saw in the room. The Juliana testimony, we're going to go back to it because on cross-examination, the Juliana testimony in the hallway and the basement is going to be important for cross-examination.
Describe as nude and on all fours, on her hands and knees. And Joe Ryan was behind her, angled slightly behind her, and from my position at the door slightly to the left of her. He was clothed, and he was looking directly at me as I opened the door.
And when you first caught eye contact with him, where exactly were you in relation to the bed, and where were they?
No, I was maybe one step into the room.
Okay. Now, when you observed him, what, if anything, did you observe about the situation prior to anything being said?
I observed, basically, as soon as I went in the room, it appeared that Christine tried to get up, but I guess I'm unsure if it's that Christine tried to get up or if Joe Ryan pulled her up. It's hard, I can't really tell, but Christine went from being on all fours, hands and knees, to more like being on her knees.
Now, had you said anything to them or to him specifically?
Almost immediately, I said police.
All right, so he said police, and then now Christine was off the all fours, and now you get the picture that Joe is doing at this moment. So they were on all fours at first, and then they switched to a different position, and now he testifies to what Christine had said to him when he was in the room.
Edge would be
like 11 o'clock. Okay. So just to kind of in front of my left pants pocket.
Okay. And were you wearing a jacket over that area?
I was wearing a jacket that day.
Do you know if it was covering it or not?
No, I don't know if it was covering. I don't know if it was covering it at that moment. I don't remember if my jacket was zipped or not, and it's February, so
okay.
I'm not sure if my jacket is zipped or not.
In terms of seeing the badge, you didn't pull it out and show it or anything?
I did not.
Okay, you just said police?
Yes.
And what happened from there?
Christine responded first. Christine said, Brendan, he has a knife.
Now, before she said that, could you tell, did you see any weapons at that point?
I didn't see a weapon. I didn't see a weapon at at my initial viewing of the scene in that first.
Okay, so all that established. This is why this testimony has sealed his fate. I'm gonna go into it now, because everything he has just testified to there is consistent. Well, most of the things anyway, especially with the Brendan, he's got a knife. Brendan's got a knife. That is consistent with Juliana's testimony, and Juliana could only testify to that if she was in the room to hear it. So, based on this testimony, Juliana has to be in this room, because she would not have known anywhere at all if she was in the basement. All right. So let's continue on with the Banfield testimony. The trial has started, but they're making arguments in regards that they are making arguments in regards to whether the case should stay. So we'll be done in 10 minutes because it's a 30-minute show. I probably should have said that from the very start. But nonetheless, let's go in now to why I say that the testimony right there that he just given has completely sealed his fate, because this is the mess that has been created from that testimony. As we now go into, listen, this particular part right here, it shows it shows completely why all of this just seems very scripted. Let's play to what he says in regards to Christine after she had been effectively stabbed by allegedly Joe Ryan.
What, if anything, were you doing to assist her at that point?
So she was holding her neck, and she told me that she couldn't see, and I asked her to let me see, indicating what, that her hand was indicating that her hand was covering her neck. And she very shakily removed her hand from her neck. And I could see the wound on the right side of her neck.
Okay. And what, if anything, did you do at that point?
She told me to put my hand there, and she had put her hand back on her neck, and then I put my left hand on top of her hand, but she pulled her hand from underneath mine and put her hand back on top of my hand and put pressure on my hand, I think indicating that she wanted more pressure on the wound.
And did you do that?
Yes, I had.
Okay.
I had my hands on hers, trying to apply pressure.
And she was helping you?
Yes.
And so at that...
Again, listen to his words, not his actions. He wants you to listen to his actions, to observe his actions, but it's mannerisms, but it's the words, because end of the day, for some reason, Christine asked him to put his hand there, and then he realizes mid-sentence that actually, no, it makes more sense if Christine had her hand there.
Point, had you asked Juliana to call 911?
At that point, I noticed that Juliana was in the room, and I told Juliana to both call 911, and I told her to watch him, indicating to Joe.
All right. So now he told Juliana to call 911. Right now we get to the part that it falls off the rails completely, because this next testimony is not going to make any monocle of sense at all.
Did there come a time when you instructed Juliana to call 911?
I had instructed Juliana to call 911 at least twice.
Okay.
Right,
And
twice.
Did there come a time where you realized that, when you were wondering what was going on with 911?
She seemed to be, after she shot, she seemed to be stunned and just standing there, not doing anything. And I yelled at her to call 911 again.
Okay. And do you know if she followed your...
At that point, she seemed to come out of her.
We heard it there. Okay, he's gonna say at that point he seemed to come out of a trance, whatever trance he was on. So the next part that we're gonna go into, remember, he said call 911 twice. If we go back to day 3, we see the call log there. Let me zoom in so that you guys can see that if you can. The call log is there. This is the Ketchup, the Heinz report on day 3, and it's here. See, the first call right here is at 7:49, and 8:02 a.m. is another call to 911. The 799 was all cancelled. In fact, it was 3 calls that was made that was cancelled. Right. So He said he instructed Juliana to call her twice. We now get to the cross-examination in which this particular testimony becomes the focus. Let's listen to what the Commonwealth had to present in regards to this.
Law enforcement background?
A little bit.
A little bit, okay. And your life-saving training tells you that Juliana should be the one to call 911 while you are tending to Christine, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, but when Juliana hadn't called 911, you didn't think that was the time at which maybe you should do it?
I didn't realize that she didn't call 911 immediately because I was focused on Christine. So
Okay.
I wasn't looking at Juliana after I told her to call 911. I was looking at Christine.
Okay, so you're also then not aware that Juliana hung up on 911 15 minutes prior to the call where you spoke to them?
My awareness was that she made that original call in the upstairs room.
She made the original call in the upstairs room, and where were you?
No, my understanding is that she actually made the call originally while she was in the basement.
Oh,
As
not
per
the
her.
upstairs, okay. Okay, so you weren't there then, is your contention?
I never heard her make the original call. I never saw her make the original call.
And you certainly didn't tell her to hang up the phone?
No, I knew nothing about the original call until far later.
Okay.
Okay. Juliana, this U-turn, based on the way he spoke in the first phase, he told Juliana to call 911 twice, at least twice, right? Immediately, my mind is thinking, okay, they're in the same room. He's established that, call her twice. So the calling twice would have been the 13-minute gap, right? This is not, first and foremost, it's not possible to have no urgency that 13-minute gap, but also at the same time, him now placing the first few calls to 911 as just what we've been talking about since day 8, the preview there, is that he is just trying to make the evidence fit his story, because he knows that she has made the calls. He has seen the record. So this mistake has destroyed his credibility. Look at his parents, his stepmom's face.
So while you are tending to your wife and exchanging hand placement with her over the wounds that we saw, you did not at that point in time use the towel, the blanket, the sheet, or the other blanket to staunch the flow of blood from her neck?
It wasn't until I was instructed to by 911 to do that. Pressure is a different form of treatment that we were taught, and that is also what Christine was doing. I believe that was the best course of action at the time.
All right. He gives that his look. Everything that he testified to, the only saving grace that he had, there was none. I'm just trying to give him the benefit of the doubt in regards to the reason why he had to, he couldn't call 911 himself, and Juliana had to do it. I think that's the only one that makes sense because he was focused on Christine. I think that's the only one out of his whole testimony on cross-examination that makes sense. There's so much more to cover with him that I'm gonna be going back over on the next stream after this, which is the prestige stream, where we are closing down the trial after the closing arguments was done. But this next witness that we are going into is going to came in as a rebuttal witness. He had called in to say that he wanted to testify because he knows a couple of things that needs to be addressed. So his name is Thomas Patrick Smith, and he is Brendan's supervisor, boss, if you will, at the IRS. So this guy is the nail in the coffin, because all of Brendan's testimony was predicated on the fact that there was a meeting scheduled that he had to get to get a promotion. Let's go and listen to the testimony.
All right. To your knowledge, was there a meeting scheduled between yourself or with Juliet and Mr. Banfield on the morning of February 24th, 2023?
All right, leading,
Sure.
sustain the objection.
Did you have any plans for the morning of February 24th, 2023?
I did. I was in Baltimore on an unrelated undercover operation on that morning.
Were you scheduled to meet with Mr. Banfield?
I was not.
And again, I'm sorry, where was Juliet, his other supervisor?
She was out of the country.
Okay. Mr. Banfield testified that he was meeting with his manager. Is there another person that could have been?
As you go up the management chain, we have an assistant special agent in charge. His name is David Meisenheimer, and we have a special agent in charge, Kareem Carter, and they were both in, I believe, Georgia at the time, because...
And Georgia, the state, not Virginia.
Correct.
Okay. Within your industry, is it commonplace to appear for career? Sure thing.
Sustain.
How does one dress in the IRS when they are approaching a business meeting that is imperative for their success and potential promotion?
Well, we could say that when I have important meetings, I dress in a semi-formal or formal, like suit and tie, or at least, nice slacks and a shirt.
Would jeans or tennis
I'm sorry that we are a bit over the time. I tried to do this in under 30 minutes, but I'll close off after this.
shoes be acceptable?
I have never worn jeans or tennis or sneakers or tennis shoes for important meetings.
You have to put your microphone on, Mr. Caro. What's your objection?
Objection to the relevance of this. He's indicating what he does.
Overruled.
All right, thank you. Did you speak with Mr. Banfield on the morning of February 24th, 2023?
Here it comes.
I did not.
Okay. Were you surprised that he wasn't there at 8 o'clock?
Again, I was in Baltimore, so I wasn't there, but I was surprised when I received a phone call indicating that Mr. Banfield had discharged his weapon and there were two deceased persons, which, as you would imagine, that triggered many responsibilities as the acting supervisory special agent too.
That was this value of his testimony. Complete nail in the coffin for everything that Brendan Banfield has basically testified to on direct examination from day 8. If we had to endure that, I hate contradictions. And I'm glad that this witness came in and just showed how much of a farce it was. To even suggest it, the zoo even, because Juliana said that it was a ruse to even go to the zoo, and he validated the ruse. Listen, now, this is what I personally think that the closing arguments are going to be. I will give my verdict predictions after the closing arguments are done. My verdict signals, I should say, because anyway, I'm gonna give my what my thoughts of what the verdict might be after the closing arguments on the next stream, with the Prestige stream, which is basically bring all of this saga to basically a close, going back on the key moments, etc. So that will follow much later on during the day. But what I think the closing arguments here are gonna be, even though I do believe that Brendan Banfield had written his own obituary in this case, there is still some key evidence to consider, because they still have Joe Ryan's DNA on the knife, which was contradiction with Magalhaes. They still have communications showing the communications by the defense showing Magalhaes' mom, telling her to say that Brendan was controlling everything, doing everything. They also have another key evidence in regards to the creation of the FetLife email that's tied to Juliana. I'm only highlighting the prosecution because they have the burden of proof, so I'm pretty much highlighting it. But like I said, it's Brendan that has written his own obituary if the jury are going to be influenced by anything, in my opinion. So these are the likely closing arguments that I think is going to happen. I think the state is going to focus on Brendan's untrustworthiness and they're gonna say that he is making up stories about the affair, about it's just convenient also that he is talking about that he's talking about Christine having this whole BDSM just to fit the narrative that of the FetLife, to say that it was her and and the accounts that was being used, that that he's just confused because their evidence even shows that one account was made up and the other account was, so he's doing that. And the Commonwealth might make another argument to basically say that Brendan had promised, Mr. Banfield had promised Juliana a better life. In fact, I think they might even go the dehumanizing route and say the defendant had promised Juliana a better life due to her visa issues and he backed out once she realizes that this was bad, what they have basically done, and this is not a good way to start, and and came clean to all of us to bring him to justice. I think that might be their likely closing arguments. I also think the defense is probably going to focus on saying things like, we told you that Juliana can't be trusted, and we have shown you evidence why. And they're likely gonna say things like, she was the one that created the FetLife account because Christine's BDSM fantasies, she created it for Christine, and now she is reframing and reconstructing all of that to say that Brendan controlled everything just so that she cannot be punished for this particular crime, and says that their mother, and they're gonna say that the reason why they believe this is because the mother had told her that Brendan was controlling everything, because at this point Juliana was in jail, losing it, and on anxiety and depression, and she really and that's how it led to the mother knowing. So the mother told him to just say this to get out of the situation she was in. They might also make the argument that she had no intentions of being with Brendan Banfield and was the one that orchestrated the whole killing. After convincing him, they can start over in February afterwards using the Discord communications, etc. They say they can start over, and then that was it. And they broke up again in August. I think they might go this to make the argument that because Brendan had resented her actions and didn't want to be with her anymore. Brendan had resented her actions. He didn't want to go to Brazil. He wanted to stay in the States. He wanted to fix her visa. She didn't want that. She wanted to do so many things, and then he starts regretting. He starts regretting meeting her because she was the one to have killed her, and he found out that the whole FetLife was her creation, her ruse, and he broke up with her. That pushed Juliana into a big depression. I'm trying. That puts Juliana into a big depression in which she has started talking to her ex and then talked to her mom to get the plea deal. That's what I think they're gonna go with. And I think that's probably their strongest argument. And I also think they are going to remind the jury about the gun range not being a place for where they're practicing their shots, but for the job. Like I said, I'm gonna have to wait for the verdict to come in before I can give what I think my thoughts on what the verdict might be. I have to wait for the closing arguments, I should say, to come in. So now, why did I pick that intro clip? I picked that because end of the day, after watching Brendan describe, Christine's hand on the neck and, the whole thing that was basically highlighted on Cross in regards to the moments, etc. And it was highlighted on Cross as well that she had 5 stab wounds. He was basically confessing that he actually did this. He was basically confessing that he actually did this. I'm gonna go now to because a members only stream does follow after this stream, and this is the Heinz trial room. This is where I shall be making reports of the closing arguments and whatever events is going on. You are of course at liberty to welcome. Feel free to join the trial room, observe with me and other like-minded members who like to think a bit more deeply about these trials, but if not, I hope that you have a great day. You take care of yourself, and I really hope that I provided you with enough info to go into the closing arguments with and kind of see what is going to maybe happen, gauge what's going to happen, etc. I think the court, they are still I think they have finished the first initial arguments, whatever it might be, and they're still on a break. So so you haven't missed much if you have been watching this live with me. So let's continue. Without further, have a great day, and I will see you on the Prestige stream where we're going through the aftermath of the closing arguments. See you there. Bye for now. Thank you everyone for tuning in for another Ketchup Court live stream. Make sure that you smash that like button as well as hitting that subscribe button to be notified of our future live streams. We go live regularly, bringing you case updates and recaps of ongoing trials, so make sure you hurry back on the next live stream. We also have more content on the channel that you can binge on. Check out the playlist that we have showcasing all of these contents. Without further, I go by the name of Heinz, your friendly neighborhood ketchup.